What's up everyone, welcome back to Doki Doki Drawing, and now it's time to draw some characters. So this is for the February edition of the manga monthly project that we're running with Tony and CathyCat. And in one of the previous episodes, I was showing the process that I go through personally when I'm drawing manga. Now I know it's going to be different for CathyCat and Tony as well, but personally, I used a mind map to come up with various ideas. Then I came up with some ideas on text for characters, and then I drew a very basic outline of what the comic is going to look like story-wise. So if you're interested in that video, you can check out the link below, but for this video, I'm looking at the actual main characters. Now, since the February challenge is to draw a shoujo manga love confession, I had two characters, of course, because one of them has to do the love confession to the other, and I've got a male character and a female character. But actually, at this stage, it's a little bit more complicated than the previous manga that I drew, because in this manga, there's going to be a flashback at the start to when they were childhood friends, and then I'll have to draw the slightly more grown-up versions of them as well. So instead of trying to draw the kid versions of them and then guessing what they would look like when they grow up, I'm actually drawing the more grown-up student versions of them first, and then I'll be drawing the kid versions of them after. Now, if I were drawing a character reference sheet for an anime, I wouldn't be drawing them in this specific pose. I would be drawing them in a very generic pose so that animators know exactly what details about their clothing and everything looks like so that they can all look consistent across an anime. But this is genuinely just for my personal use. I just want to know, what does my character look like? What kind of expression do they have as their default expression? What are their main clothing going to look like? What kind of general stature do they have? And when I was drawing the main male character, the story is he used to be a nice kid before, but he's a real jerk now that he's come back. So to me, I immediately thought, okay, he's gonna have poor posture, he's gonna be wearing his clothes like a bit of a delinquent, he's gonna have a cool hairstyle, but it's not cool in that it's just genuinely cool. It's like he's really posing, you know, he's like really trying hard to look cool. So I went for a sort of attention grabby, really swoopy emo haircut, like he's really edgy. Of course, he's wearing his jeans low and his shirt's gonna be untucked. Classic features of a jerk, of course. I mean, I'm sure you already know that any character can be a jerk. They can look absolutely pristine and perfect, but on the inside, they're actual jerks. But for this particular manga that I'm drawing, he was a very sweet kid before, and when he's come back, he looks very obviously posy or delinquent. To be honest, there aren't actually that many details in this picture though. He's wearing his clothes very loosely, and he's got a necklace, and he's got a swoopy haircut and one of those massive earrings that you have to like slowly keep going back to the shop and getting them to open it more until finally you have a large enough hole that you can put one of these giant earrings in. But 100%, I don't genuinely believe that if you look like this, you're a jerk. To an extent, of course, if he's wearing his clothing this loosely, he's probably not the sort of person who is abiding by every school regulation though. Now, personally speaking, I find myself actually really comfortable drawing a character like this because every time I draw a male character, I always end up defaulting to drawing them in a sort of angry way. So it was after this, when I was drawing the young version of him, that I was actually kind of worried. I was like, am I going to be able to draw a happy male character without them just turning into a female character? So for drawing the flashback version of the character, he's going to have a sort of swoopy haircut, but it's not quite as disheveled as it will be when he's grown up. You know, he's wearing very standard kids clothing, t-shirt and shorts. His arms will be in vaguely the same pose, but it's not quite as like posy and edgy. It's just because, you know, he's got nowhere to put his arms, so he's just put them in his pockets. So the challenge for me here was making him still resemble himself when he grows up, but he has to be visibly more rugged and rough. So enjoy the speed drawing of this male character in his now and before version. I'll see you back here when we're drawing the female character. Alright, so it's time to draw the female character, and the difference between her and the male character, apart from gender of course, is that she is the main character. And since this is a shoujo manga, and demographically speaking, like in terms of business, this is a manga genre which is aimed at a female readership. So having that in mind, I wanted to draw a character that was interesting looking, someone that you would want to read more about, but not so unique that you can't really put yourself in her shoes. Because just like a shonen manga or shoujo manga, the main character, I feel like you need to be able to imagine you were that character to get more into the action and get more into the drama of the story. The most important thing to me was that she doesn't look like a jerk, because I want her to contrast with the male character so much that it's like, okay, she was going to confess to this guy, but she's really not going to confess to him now because look at, he's such a delinquent violent guy now, and she's such a reasonable, not a complete geek, but a generally reasonable, down-to-earth type of character. So I drew a face with some glasses, and I was like, she could be a real nerd. Nah, I don't want to go full nerd. Also drew some accessories and her general clothing. You know, she's studious, but she's not 100% bookworm. So overall, I wanted to make a character who was good, but not perfect, but in her mind, she knows that she aspires to be good, as in well-behaved. So just like with the male character, drew a head, general body shape first, and then I put some clothing on her. Decided on a hairstyle that's nice and reasonable, tied up so it doesn't get in the way while she's doing her studies. Gave her nice big eyes so that when she's got a dramatic scene, she can really emote. I totally believe for a shoujo manga, you don't have to have large eyes, but it does make the job easier when you're trying to have a scene where she's crying a lot, or getting angry a lot, or she's really happy. Having all of that playroom with the eyes, it's just convenient. For the uniform, I decided to go for sort of blend between Japanese school and UK school. So she's got the ribbon like you might expect on a Japanese uniform, but she's also wearing a cardigan with her skirt, which is quite common in the UK. And there you have it. That is the main character for our shoujo manga. The main thing is she's not too unique, but she's not completely dull. She looks like someone you might be interested in reading about, but more importantly, she's someone very nondescript that you can imagine being her. She's not an idiot, but she's also not a genius. She's not a delinquent, but she's not a 100% do-gooder. Now, there will be other characters in the story, but I didn't have time to flesh out a complete character sheet for each and every single one of them before moving on to what I felt was more important, was actually coming up with a general storyboard so that I could show it to Cathy and Tony at the mid-month meeting for this manga project. Of course, if I were drawing this manga every single month and there were going to be another 12 episodes of this, I would probably do the character sheet for every character first. But in addition to these characters, what I also need to draw is her best friend character, her rival character, and the mob characters who will be in the background. But in the interest of time, just felt it was more important to get the storyboard out there so that I can show Tony and Kathy the rough draft. Once you've drawn like the main characters, you get especially excited about actually drawing the adventure that they're going to go on. So I was particularly excited about showing the rough draft to Tony and Kathy, which will be in the next episode, so look forward to that. If you want to stay notified for when the next video goes up, be sure to subscribe to Doki Doki Drawing and click the notification bell so they get updated when a new video goes up. But that's all coming up in the next episode. We'll see you next time.